Well, it's been kind of a, like, will they or won't they romance of your favorite TV show. Actually, it's been more like that on again, off again thing, kind of like Sam and Diane or Ross and Rachel, or Trump and tariffs. There's a chance Congress will take a run at saying no to President Trump's Liberation Day tariff plan this week, but that would also then have to avoid a veto. Meanwhile, businesses are beginning to feel a bit held hostage when it comes to buying product and then possibly passing those increased costs on to customers. Well, one Idaho business is taking a definitive stance on this. Albertsons sent a letter to suppliers recently that makes it clear increasing prices is something, well, they don't plan on doing. Joe Paris tries to find out how feasible that might be.
Boise-based Albertsons making headlines and industry news. A letter reportedly sent to their suppliers laying out a tariff-related rule. With exceptions, the grocery chain is, quote, not accepting cost increases due to tariffs. The letter included in work from people like Matt Stoller, research director for the American Economic Liberties Project, and industry news sites like Supermarket News. The letter explains that suppliers are not permitted to include tariff-related costs in invoices without prior authorizations. In the letter, Albertsons prefaces their decision saying, our customers rely on us for competitive pricing, and they are committed to maintaining the value proposition customers expect. The letter does go on to tell suppliers that they will review price increases on a case-by-case basis, asking for evidence and reasons why, requesting 90 days of advance notice before a cost bump as well. Analysis on the topic from people like Matt Stoller worry that the cost of many items is going to spike and suppliers will go out of business if they can't cover those increased costs.
For us, for Albertsons companies, we procure more than 90% of our products domestically.
Incoming Albertsons CEO Susan Morris touched on tariff impacts during an earnings call earlier this month. Morris, the current executive vice president and chief operations officer, will take over as CEO on May 1st. She highlighted that sourcing so many products domestically does set them apart, but there is a reality.
So that's a very different position than some of the competitive set out there. We also recognize, though, that even in those domestic purchases, there are impacts from ingredients that are sourced from tariff-impacted areas.
Albertsons is, of course, not alone in this global conversation, one that changes every single day and will continue to create uncertainty.
The situation, as you know, is very fluid. We're staying very close to it. We've deployed a task force to help us understand the complexities of this situation as it evolves, and we've got some very good plans in place to help mitigate the impacts accordingly.
So there's a variety of opinions from analysts on what this move Albertsons is making, what the impact it could have. And Brian, I want to know, did reach out to Albertsons, a few different offices today across their communications departments. Should I get some insight on this idea that this is really not feasible for small-time suppliers? I reached out to a number of businesses in the Treasure Valley across the state of Idaho. That you see their products in the stores. No one was really ready to comment on this whole idea that Albertsons, a major grocery chain, is saying, no, you can't pass on these costs onto us because we don't want to pass them on to customers. So two ways to see this, but just one lens into the, I guess, the complicated nature of what's happening behind the scenes for all kinds of stores.
Well, they're a for-profit company, so we'll see how long that stance lasts when all of a sudden their stock prices maybe aren't doing so well when it comes to Albertsons. But it's not just like these cheap items that come out of China. I mean, there's some really like raw material kind of stuff coming from some of these countries that a lot of people depend on.
A big one that we talked about in the newsroom that we've talked about previously on the 208 is aluminum for things like beer. So we'll see what happens. The tariffs, will they, won't they? Changes every day.
All right. Thanks, Joe.